I just want to start by saying thank you. Truly, your time is the most valuable thing you have, and I am humbled that you choose to spend it here with me. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button or the follow button. It is the simplest way to help this community grow, and more importantly, it helps these messages reach the people who are still out there looking for a way through the noise. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of this journey. Welcome to This Dreaming. I'm Corey J. Riggs, and today we're diving into a question that changes the direction of everything. Which path ends in light? Lately, I've been sitting with the realization that understanding of who we want to be is finally becoming clear. We see the version of ourselves we're reaching for, but the gap between seeing it and becoming it, that's where the resistance lives. It's the doing that makes it real. And when it gets real, it gets risky. In action, you can fail. You can be judged. And the fear of failure, it's heavy. We have to ask, why are the failures we're living in right now so much more tolerable than the ones we're afraid of stepping into? We sit in these known failures, and the ego starts playing this internal movie. It shows us the stories and the illusions to justify where we are. It gives us excuses. It convinces us that we belong exactly where we are, and that if we follow our heart, it's only going to get broken again. It tells us the known is better than the risk of the new. But here's the truth. Here's the truth of this study. Growth and becoming are more than just a dream. If pain, suffering, and failure are going to exist, no matter which path we take, and let's be honest, they will, then shouldn't we at least pick the path we want to travel? One path leads to settlement. The other leads to self-worth. Both paths end in death, but the journey to get there can be vastly different. So if you're going to have fear and failure anyway, why not follow the path with the light? No matter how faint or distant that light seems to be. All right, let's try to break this down a little bit more. So your ego is going to try to keep you from doing. It's going to keep you from trying to reach your goals and your best potential. It's going to try to keep you stuck at where you're at and the failures that you are currently having that you're okay with. Because doing and taking action creates friction. It's where it lives. Stepping into anything, whether you've done it before or you haven't, you know there's going to be struggles, there's going to be learning, there's going to be pains, there's going to be failure. Yet we choose to keep going down the paths that we've already been down that may not be bringing us the greatest joy in our lives, but it's the pain and the fear and the suffering that we know. So we stay in it. And that's where the ego wants us to stay. It wants us to believe that that's where we belong, to not take on new challenges, new adventures. Don't follow your heart when it's showing you what you need to do. And I can tell you right now, this is probably I don't know how many takes I've tried it with this. It's doing it to me currently as we speak. And it's funny because it's like trying to teach me the lesson of, hey, bud, you think you're getting somewhere. I'm still here. And he's always going to be there. That ego's always going to be there. So I just got to go through it the best that I can. I know it's not going to be perfect. I know I'm going to make mistakes. I know I'm going to fail at it, but I'm going to learn. But why, in some aspects of our life, do we choose the failures that we've already had and that we know and that we're comfortable? Why do we tolerate? Why are those tolerable and acceptable to us? How is it possible that the ego can tell us such stories, play such a movie in our head, that we can see a path that we've known, that we've tried, that we've done, that also doesn't give us joy in our heart, but yet we'll go down it because, you know what, I may fail at it, but it's not going to hurt as much as it used to because I'm used to not conquering that. I'm used to small increments of just enough success, just enough pleasure, just enough of joy to keep me thinking that I'm getting somewhere. And the ego just keeps you stuck in that cycle. It wants you to believe that what you're doing when you're taking new adventures on, when you're going down new paths, that one, you can't get there. You're not going to get there. Also, why? Why would you want to get there? Who's to say that's better than where you're at right now? It gets you stuck in all of that. And you know what? Some of that may be true. It may be harder path than the one you're on right now. Does that mean you don't try? Does that mean you don't step through and give the effort that you need to? Absolutely not. Isn't that what we teach our children? Isn't that what we teach loved ones? Hey, I know it's scary, but just give it a shot. Try it out. We encourage others, but we can't encourage ourselves to do the same thing. We allow that ego to sit in us and tell the story that, hey, you're not going to get there going that way. Remember when you did this? Exactly. Here's a little movie if you don't remember. Hey, remember when you tried to do this time? Yeah, here's another little movie in your head. Remember that? And it will feed you exactly what you need at that time to protect you. And I'm using air quotes for those listening, to protect you. Because that's what it's built to do. And that's truly what it thinks it's doing, because you built your ego. Your ego, yes, comes from generations of trauma, and every person that's handed it down from their parent to their parent and so on and so forth until now it's in you. And you pass it on to your children if you had them. You pass it on to loved ones that are around you if you've been lucky enough to have loved ones in your life, which I hope you all have. You built this ego from all those stories and movies that it's going to bring back into you to remind you of why you should not go try new things. And it's just the brake. It's just the foot on the brake to say, stop. Don't. You don't know if that's going to hurt you anymore. And that's what it should try, right? If you can heal, once you heal your ego a little more, you can have that relationship with it. But until then, it's going to tell you these negative, nasty stories, or these stories of pain and fear and suffering or unworthiness, or the other side. You're better than that. You're above that. You don't need that. So you stay. You stay stuck in this illusion of safety. You stay stuck in the narrative that says the unknown is so much more fearful. The pain you know is much better than the risk of the new heartbreak. So don't go step out on that ledge. You might fall off. You're falling off already, right? If you really take inventory and stock in your life, no matter how successful you are in whatever portion of your life you're trying to improve and get better, hopefully all of them, but it takes one at a time. So as you're trying to improve, you can look back in places in your life where you've tried to do something similar or taken a step in that direction and find failure. You can find places in your life where it just didn't go the way that you wanted, maybe. And the ego loves that. Oh, the ego feeds on that. Hey, you keep telling yourself that, buddy. Here, I'm going to help you. I'm going to show you a little bit of something. I'm going to remind you of something. Heck, you might not even remember that happened between you and your best buddy when you were 17. But it's going to make you feel bad. It's going to make you be like, oh crap, yeah, I don't want to do that again. Whatever the situation is, the ego has a story for it. That's just the bottom line of it. And that ego is not going to go anywhere. So as we have in the past, we're not going to go back and talk about, which we will, but not today, about how we heal those parts. But we're talking and speaking about today of why it's important that we get to healing those parts. Because if we don't heal each version, each part of our ego, if we don't work on the entire ecosystem, this is where it's going to keep you. And I'll use today as an example. I'm having a very hard time with this podcast, this episode, for some reason. And it's just the ego reminding me, hey, bud, I'm still here. You're not winning. I'm still here. I'm always going to be here. And I'm going to remind you every now and then by a swift kick that I can win some of the battles. And that is okay. And that's where you have to become okay with failure. I know that there are going to be episodes, that there are going to be writings, that there are going to be teachings that don't come across well, that I may misstumble in the wording or the phrasing or just the overall message coming out, maybe not the way I wanted to, or maybe just not resonating with others the way I thought it would. So I have to become curious with failure. How do I become curious with failure? How do I become, why did I fail? How did I fail? And not just in the aspect of that one instance. It's also in the, okay, I've went down this path several times. How do I know this time's different? How do I know this path I should be going down again? There's also those questions you need to have answered within, and that's where the listen and allow part comes in of the listen, allow, follow. But the follow is the action. The follow is the finding out. And you're going to find out that sometimes that path isn't the one for you. And if you allow the ego to twist that into a way that says, see, I told you, you're not good enough, or you're too good, or you can't do that because you don't have this, or you can't do that because someone else is better at it than you and they have this. If you allow the ego to convince you of the stories of all of that and show you failure as failing, as in you can't, and not listen to yourself and have curiosity and, okay, why did I fail? How did I fail? What steps did I take that weren't successful? What steps did I take that were successful? And getting to the end result of knowing, yes, that path is for me, and I'm going to keep hammering it out because I see that light. That light is still there, and it feeds me. So no matter the noise inside my head, no matter the noise in the external world, no matter what, I see it and I feel it. I'm going to climb that mountain. And there's still maybe a day you get to the top of that mountain and look back and be like, maybe not all for me, but you learned a lot. You grew. At minimum, you learned competence in yourself, in the steps that it took, the processes that it took, the learning of yourself that it took to get there, the confidence in knowing that you can do these things, whether they're going to end up being successful or not, that you can follow a path to the end. And that's been one of my biggest ones in my whole life, is finishing something that I started. Truly getting to the end of something and saying, I put everything that I had into it and I'm still doing it, or nope, this isn't for me. I'm going to move on and pivot. if you constantly live in that gray, that unknown, that not knowing, the ego will convince you that you are living exactly as you should, how you should, just like everybody else. So redefining failure has been a big step for me. And the biggest way that I have been able to frame it and understand is curiosity. The curiosity of, again, why, what, how, and there's so many different versions of why, what, how, and all the other W's and H's and all those, right? Where, when, all of them. Why did I go down this path? What was my end goal? What is my purpose? I had a conversation with a young man the other day that I like very much. He's a very nice young man. And we were having this kind of discussion. And I was asking him, when he was going into a certain situation, what was his end goal? What was he truly trying to accomplish with these other people in that situation? What were you trying to accomplish truly? And, we came about to a kind of a thought or a resolution of what he wanted to accomplish. So I was like, well, then it's up to you to find how to accomplish that. It's not their job. They're not in your head, right? And these are things that I tell myself as well. But that's the curiosity. I was trying to teach him the curiosity of, okay, if this is my goal, if my goal is to write a book, so we'll use me right now, which it is. Okay. How do I do that? Why do I want to do that? What is my end goal and what is the book about? This book particular is the Laugh Method. And we are in the infancy stages of it, still developing the method, fine-tuning it, if you will. That would be probably a better word. I've got the skeleton of the book down. I've got the paragraph structure down. I've got the bullet points of each paragraph down. So I've got a great framework. So, okay, what's next? How do I find out? I go learn. I go fail. Right? I write a blog. I see what resonates with people. I write more. Maybe I go to open mic nights and read. There's so many ways to learn. That's going to teach me the guts of the paragraphs. But how do I know how to really truly structure a book? It's my first book I'm ever trying to write. And it may be successful, it may not be. But if I don't take the steps to be curious in the failures of trying to get there, I'll never get there. And if I allow the fear of the ego and the stories that it tells me, hey, bud, this isn't for you. You're not a writer. You're not this. That's too hard. Look how many books. People aren't reading anymore. Everyone's an 8-second clip person now. No. And if that's the truth, okay, then how can I change that? Can my book go beyond that? But I won't know until I try. I won't know until I fully do it. And that's the message I was trying to get to him of, it's not the people that are telling me this and that and this and that. It's not myself that's telling me this and that, this and that. It's finding the why. Why do I want to do this? Why do you want to do this? What do you truly want to accomplish with this? Okay, if that's what you're trying to really accomplish, are the actions you're taking to get there getting you closer or further? Are they true stepping stones to the place? Or are you taking this big windy road of fear and insecurity and trying to get to your end goal? So you've got to define curiosity in your actions. You've got to find the curiosity in everything, not just the failures. Find the curiosity in what works. Why did that work? Why did that exact process work so well? How can I replicate that? How can I make that fit over here? And how do I refine it to work in other places? Can it work in other places? How can I make it better in this situation? You have to be curious in all of this. But failure and redefining failure was one of the biggest steps and hardest steps in this teaching that we're going through right now. My learning to reframe failure and accept failure. It's a word. And it's an accurate word. If I try something and I'm not successful at it, I don't finish it, I don't accomplish it, I failed at it. Okay, why? Then that's where the curiosity comes in. Not the judgment, the shame, the blame, the ego. Turn the ego off and turn it into curiosity. Redefining failure will change a lot in every step that you take, in every new adventure that you take. Redefining failure for the lessons that it has within it, finding the lessons in failure, will help you quiet that fear a little bit. It'll help you ease the pain and the suffering. It'll help you understand that, okay, it may hurt right now and that may have sucked and I may have all these eyes on me or whatever it is. But that's okay. Because I'm going to learn from it. And I know that one way or the other, I'm going to find out, is this truly for me or not? And that's how you get that's how you break away from being stuck and becoming who you truly want to become. And knowing that not every path is for you. You will fail. And you will find out that some adventures that you take aren't for you. But if you didn't put your whole heart into it, if you didn't fully step into it and go all the way to the end, so you can look back and say, you know what, I got to the top of this mountain. And you know what? This mountain ain't for me. I want to go climbing up. And that's okay, because you just built a lot in learning how to climb this mountain, that now you can go climb another one. The other part of this that is a big revelation for me was the accepting of pain, fear, suffering are in every path you take. No matter what path you go down, there's always going to be failure, pain. There's going to be struggle. There's also going to be, if you allow, lessons to learn and to understand yourself better and to understand that what you're building is more than not building at all. So you're going to have a lot, but you're always going to have fear. There's always going to be fear. There's going to be some sort of pain, no matter the path. And the ego wants you to continue to keep going down paths, to stay stuck where you are, because it wants you to almost be numb to the current pain and fear that you have inside. That's a lot easier than go and feel a new pain. Put that to like a relationship or something. We've all, well, maybe not all of us, most of us have probably had relationships, whether they're friendship or otherwise, that have come and gone. And that hurts. Maybe someone passes in your life. When my grandfather died, my father died. That hurt. That was pain unavoidable. Everyone's going to die. I've also had relationships where they didn't work out. And that hurts. That's tough. So you have a choice. Am I not ever going to be in a relationship again? Or am I going to go back out and try it all over again and risk the pain and suffering that is going to come with that new path? But also, that's the only way I'm going to find the joy that I'm looking for in a relationship or a new job or a new cycle of life, if you will. Whatever you're looking to, a new growth pattern. Until you start doing the work and the action and the doing, the following of your messages and the work that it's bringing to you, you'll never know. And you have to accept failure because it's going to happen. It's in every one of them. So you can either choose to continue to try new paths and new places and new ventures and new goals. You can try to keep reaching and reaching and reaching. Or you can stay stuck in the ego. And the ego can keep you where you're at and just stay numb and never feel again. That's the choice we all make. And unfortunately, most of us make the choice that doesn't bring us light and doesn't bring us joy and doesn't bring us happiness. And when we do step out just a little bit, do we go all the way to the end? Do we trust ourselves enough to go finish that and go find out exactly what it means for us? That's a question you have to ask yourself. Can't answer that one for you. I know for me, not until now. Not until this stage of my life have I realized I've been living numbly. I've been living the same old pattern, the same old cycle. Maybe put a little new twist on it, right? Maybe go lose a little bit of weight here and say, look, I'm a new guy. Maybe go get a new job here. Hey, look, I'm a new guy. Maybe go get a new relationship over here. Hey, I'm a new guy. It's the same nonsense because I didn't finish it. I didn't put my whole heart into it. I didn't see it for what it is. Growth and learning and an opportunity to be something that you're not right now. That is growth. Risk is growth. It takes a lot of courage to do it. And it takes a lot of resilience to live through those pains and those failures. But when you're down a path and you see the light at the end of that tunnel, you chase that light. Chase it. Don't let the ego burn it out. Because we're going to die. We're all dying, right? That is the one thing none of us can escape. So, do I want to go down this path and live the same old mundane, everyday struggles, pains, and just be okay with it and die and not have any light shining out of me whatsoever? Or do I want to try this over here? Because I see a light in this one. But it's scary as hell. And if I'm going to die anyway, shouldn't I chase that light and at least be happy in the chase? At least have some fulfillment and some belief of I am chasing something greater than me, rather than just struggling and living the same old life and dying with that light, never, ever even getting a chance to shine. It's not an easy option, but I think it's a lot easier thought about than it is to take the action on. Take the action on it. Take little steps. We've talked about that in the past as well. It'll give you self-worth. You don't want to be stuck in settling. You don't want settlement in your life. You don't want to be content. Contentment, settlement, that has no self-worth in it whatsoever. Chase. Run after. Be fearless in your endeavors. Fail. Learn. Get up. Crawl. Whatever you got to do. Keep chasing that spark of curiosity and keep chasing that light. That light may be distant. It may look like it's so far away. Just take another step. You're one step closer. If that door closes, you can reopen it. Promise you on that one. I've reopened some. The doors of life are not permanently locked that you cannot get back in. There is nothing that you have failed at in the past, or that you've struggled at within your past life, or that you've made mistakes in your past life, that you can't turn a corner on and go reopen that door and let that light back in. But it has to be your true life. It has to be a light inside of you. Don't let the ego have you running down rabbit holes just to be safe and comfortable and warm in that blanket that you know. So keep marching. Be curious. Don't see failure as the end. Don't see it as the game's over. Failure is nothing but a learning block. It is a simple block that you stack one on top of the other. And then eventually you build a house from it. You build enough steps that you get to the top of a mountain with it. Failure will be the building blocks, if you allow them to be, to the best things that you'll ever accomplish in your life. Because again, both paths end in death. But the journey to get to there, that journey to death, can look vastly different depending on which path you take. So as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a few things to sit with. I'm going to ask you to really look at these, to really think about these questions. Take a breath, close your eyes, sit in quiet and stillness. See what comes up, see what surfaces when all the noise inside subsides. So the first question, what story is your ego playing on loop right now to convince you that staying exactly where you are is safer than moving toward the light? Right? Think about my story at the beginning of this, of how hard this episode was for me. Preparing for it wasn't. Doing it was the hard part, because the ego needed to remind me, I'm still here, Bubba. I ain't going anywhere. So that's a question. That's a great one to sit with. What is that story that continues in my head? What is that story that convinces me I can't, I won't? Next question. If both paths are hard, why are you choosing the one that leaves you empty? Why are you allowing the ego to keep you going down a path that you don't enjoy? That's a lot of introspection. That's a lot of looking inwards. And that one hurts me a lot. Why? Why do I choose the safe path? But it still hurts and it's painful. But it's safe because I know it. So if they're both hard, why am I choosing to not live? The last question I want to leave you with, are you settling for a life that you can merely tolerate because you're afraid of the life you actually want? This one here, guys, coming to the realization that I can have dreams and aspirations of, let's say I just want to live in the Alps in this big house and have a lake, and I'm just going to paint a picture. So, and it doesn't matter. I want this big house in the mountains with a lake, with beautiful land around me, all to myself. So let's say that's my vision. Or I want to be a #1 New York Times bestseller. right? There's so many different ones that I could give you examples of. Why do I have fear of actually achieving that? If that's what I want, just go achieve it. And it's easy then. The ego comes in and says, you can't do that. How are you going to do that? You weren't born with all that. Your family didn't have all that. How many stories have you heard that people have come from nothing to get that? I'm not saying I came from nothing, but how can you achieve these things when you don't have this, and this, the ego? But it's amazing to me that have seen times in my life where I am actually afraid of becoming that person, that version of me that I see and love and so would be so proud to be. But I'm actually afraid of being that person. It's the weirdest thing. Sit with that one. That one really takes a bit of time. That one really took me a while. And it was more of the acknowledgement of it. Like, once I started writing about it a little bit and really focusing on, okay, why do I not think I can be there? Why does my ego tell me I can't do that? Or I'm not able to do that, whatever that is. Why? And then it came to me, okay, then why am I so scared to become that? Why am I so afraid of the judgment that comes along with being that person? It's amazing. That question still riddles me at sometimes, and I still really have to think about it sometimes. Like, am I really afraid? Yeah. There's something that scares me about being the success-driven person that I want to become. I'd rather stay in this success-driven person, the guy who's good at his job, who has been there for, 15 years now, just celebrated, who has, climbed the ladder at this company. But it doesn't bring me life. It doesn't bring me joy. That path over there does. Why am I afraid to go try and get that? That's a big question to ask. And that's a hard one, guys. That one, I can talk about that question for a long time, but I'll move on because that one beats me up sometimes. That's a weird question to really sink your head into. Why are you afraid to become the person, the version that you want to become? There is a fear about becoming it. Find that fear. Really research that fear. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for having the courage to sit in this space and look through the shadows with me. I don't take your presence and your time for granted. And if this conversation landed with you, please follow, subscribe, and share with someone who is currently sitting in that cycle of settlement and needs to see that light. I hope that you can find the curiosity in the failure. I hope you can find the courage in the action. I really hope that you can find the light that is worth chasing. It's inside of you. And once you see it, go after it. This has been This Tree and Me. And today's study was, which path ends in light? I am Corey J. Riggs. I love you all. Be blessed.